While some sceneries go completely unnoticed on camera, but are flaws and mistakes that would tarnish good names of some reputable industries, I am not just talking about mistakes here, specifically wardrobe mistake. And unbelievably, we see them a lot. From skimpy dresses, zippers being loose, and cleavages showing more than just cleavage, here are some of the most embarrassing moments caught on live TV, but no one noticed. This news reporter ended up losing her job after this chaotic showing on live television while reading the stock market news. It appears that a large part of her top was really exposed, blatantly showing 4K scenes of her boobs on national television, thanks to the piece of paper that she was holding that covered a large part of her. If not adding 3 X's to the name of the publication company won't be a bad idea. While Mariah Carey stopped by Good Morning America to perform for a screaming lot of fans at the New York Central Park. Something unexpected happened. The back of her dress popped. No one knew, but she felt it and outrightly spat it out while taking an interview. This singer, kind of unknown, was performing live for an audience cheering and hooting for her. And that was when the unexpected happened, as her panties fell from under her and was visible for everyone to see. She also didn't know till she looked down and quickly pulled out and continued with the show. Miley Cyrus was in a bit of a fix when her short top malfunctioned seriously, but she was quick enough to notice it and hold on to it before a lot of damage would have been done on national television there. She stylishly held the top to her chest while indicating to officials to assist her. Nicki Minaj proceeded to apologize to Nightlife that the incident was a complete accident and she never meant for it to happen. While she was performing on stage for Good Morning America, it turned out that the sport bra she had on was not equipped for her, as it managed to reveal a lot more than ever. But later, after she noticed, she adjusted herself properly. Weather ladies have a thing for something always going wrong while presenting and explaining the weather forecast. She slipped and fell badly. It looked as though one of her heels held down the end of her ridiculously long jean trouser, and when she attempted to move, she slipped and fell. A reporter was having a live call with a journalist in his home. While on the big screen and answering a question, his wife appeared to pass by in the background while she was naked, or probably semi-naked, and both he or his wife had no idea of what had just happened. The reporter saw, and a couple other millions watching too. This man has a couple of explaining to do, because it seems to anyone watching that the vine he went to touch had electricity in it. While interviewing some women, he went to feel a particular vine, and he felt the shock of his life as he stumbled and fell immediately. Tegan and her husband John Legend, while attending the Super Bowl, which they weren't strangers to, Chrissy Teigen mistakenly exposed her nipple to, well, the entirety of the world that caught sights at that clip, as she wore a knitted see-through black top which made it extremely easy to see through, and at a point, her nipple was really visible. This guy was playing around while performing a lifting stunt by lifting someone and swinging them both ways. This lady came along and he flung her both ways in a continuous motion that her short jumpsuit started to come up, exposing her buns, which of course she tried to cover. While being interviewed by a rather attractive female reporter, the Serbian Prime Minister could not control himself any longer, as his expressions started to depict he was feeling the heat from the gestures of the reporter. While she wore a pretty skimpy dress that exposed her laps, she went on to caress her laps in a rather seductive way. Prime Minister or civil servant dude's flesh and blood mate. The females aren't the only ones subjected to having wardrobe malfunctions, as even some of the guys fall victim of it. In this case, the king, LeBron, was prepping for a final when the Cleveland Cavaliers faced off the GSW. Pre-game, LeBron was adjusting his shorts, and well, let's say, daddy's a big boy. As this topic was even discussed in a live podcast, also with millions of people seeing it. While in a live podcast with 3Girl being the guests on the show, the lady in the middle was showing off her admirable dancing skills when he ended up showing more than her dancing skills to the world and fans viewing the show, flashing her boobs for at least 3 seconds before realizing what went wrong, and she covered up instantly. While this presenter was preparing to make an appearance on this show, as she got down and onto the stage, her skirt was pulled away, and she was seen with just her panties after being clueless for a while. She finally saw a solution and applied the fix ASAP as the crowd cheered on. Anyways, it looked to be staged act, though she didn't seem troubled in the slightest. Sarah Jessica Parker was a guest at Bravo's Watch. What happens live when something totally unplanned and uncalled for, well, happened live as they were having a discussion? She then tried to reach out to something from the top of a shelf, and immediately her beautiful velvet dress got ripped by the side. Rather than panic, she was calm and even made a joke about the moment. We all know that while watching the news or reporters, we only see the top part of their body. Well, during this live news on BBC, while the camera was going round, the anchor was inadvertently seen to be putting on shorts instead of trousers behind the counter. Dude had no freaking idea. While Harry Styles was performing on stage for a massive crowd, his pants got ripped as he bent towards the crowd. Well, he felt it immediately and gave the funniest action ever, laughing it off instantly. Megan Swanson was representing the great state Nebraska in the next show. The evening gown portion, she wore a different kind of skirt, stylish shit. But as she leaned over, her skirt shifted to the other side, and millions of viewers could spot what was on the other side of the wall. Hey, hey. While indicating the need for a quick change, the host of a show bends over to show the audience his torn pants, creating a hilarious moment in the show. He was lucky he had some good underpants on, though, would not want to scare the kids watching. In this pretty hilarious cooking show, while the participants were baking something, the presenter turned around and what was handprints were clearly visible on a very private plate on the body. 2 handprints on 2 butt cheeks. How the hell did it get there? In the midst of an ongoing interview, a female persona sitting in between 2 men tried to adjust her sitting style and inadvertently revealed the color code of the party beneath. As she tried to cross her leg the other way, she opened her leg, and for a split second, the under could be seen. This guest on the show was going to kick a ball to score a small post, not too far from the kicking zone, mind you. She was putting on a very skimpy dress, and as she kicked the ball, the follow-up was an embarrassing fall that exposed her body just a little. But though then she stood up and adjusted herself, well, she scored the goal either way. That would have been nice. While weather reporters are always victims of the unfortunate events of being embarrassed or having a costume malfunction on live TV, one other thing the ladies must take note of while presenting is the way they cross their legs. This lady tried crossing her legs, but it was not possible without her revealing some sensitive parts of her body. This presenter, all the way from Mexico, is actually very captivating and solemnly attractive, especially because of the clothes she had on. Imagine if there was a really tiny gush of wind that would be the literal end of it all, as she would struggle to put her thing back in place. Intentional or coincidence, this female reporter reading the weather news. I'm going to come back to these weather reporters. Well, she was reading the news and she inadvertently turned her back to the camera, making her really tight gown and incredible body shape a show for Grandpa watching the news. Be it a challenge, or I don't know what else to call it, but a really awkward and rated 18 moment when the producer on a show requested 2 of his female guests take off their skirts, leaving them in just their panties. What's you trying to do, stepbro? While filming 2 soccer players in the art of just jesting, they picked up 2 bottles of beers and poured it on the reporter. But well, he took it all in good spirits as the reporter was already drenched by the beers and his costume was so wet. This was a live television program which had online viewers and also physical audience, just like sliding through snow. The host was able to slide down properly, but the co-host didn't do that exactly. As she tumbled and crashed while she was tumbling, her dress opened and revealed just a little bit of something, which no one noticed. This reporter was quite intoxicated and drunk, while she was putting on a tight top that obviously showed the tips of her nipples. Well, to the entire world, not all would notice though. But hey, I would. Barbie in a mermaid tail, but Barbie didn't reveal so much though, as she was setting up to take a dive in the beach. After taking off her top and shorts, leaving her in only bikinis, she dived into the water and immediately she surfaced. She was topless as her bikini top was already off. She was lucky it did not fall in the water. The dolphins would have picked it up for her. This guy obviously has not seen Jumanji though, as he confidently stood in front of a bunch of ostriches and, well, they did what we would expect them to do, as they constantly snapped at his clothes and ripped out some parts of it. It is an obvious strategy for Mexican weather forecasters now, as they all present themselves wearing the shortest and revealing of clothes to present on national television. This reporter was revealing a little more than her laps, but glimpses of underneath could be seen in her dress. Unaware of the fact that an overly sensitive part of her body was the main center point of attraction, she kept on reading the news as if nothing had happened. This presenter embarrassed herself, as her idea to make an entrance turned into a disaster. While she fell not once, but twice trying to woo the crowd, the hells she had on was exceptionally long and very awkward, so it kept tripping her and tripping her. Heaven knows she fell the third time. The man was addressing the public on a particular issue. He seemed really serious, but then one lady placed a tie on chest, trying to measure the length of that tie with the one he had on. It was pretty awkward that the man couldn't concentrate and got a bit confused about what he was saying for a second there. While questioning two individuals, this reporter put herself in a very weird situation, as she was wearing a top that seemed violated by a shark, and it was seductive in a way alongside her gestures that caused confusion amongst the men with her. Karen got upset when the German presenter Angela made a very annoying comment to her, which prompted her to try to take off the mic she had on her. In the process of doing that, she raised her skirt up while revealing her underpants on live TV. This show soon turned into a nightmare show for the guests. As he was talking, one of them spotted his pants. What looked to be that he took a pee on himself, he immediately stood up and went to adjust himself. This TV presenter really embarrassed herself as what looked to be like her, running over to hug her colleague. But while doing that, she failed to cover herself properly as she was wearing a short dress. On top of that, she and the colleague fell to the ground awkwardly. This guest stylishly embarrassed the TV presenter by telling and showing how she would normally dress when she comes on his show by raising her dress all the way up to her upper thigh, almost exposing you know where.